The car that shocked the world, think about this. The 1950s, a time when cars were big, bold, and built for cruising, not for breaking the sound barrier. Then out of nowhere, Mercedes-Benz unveils something that looks like it was sent from the future. A sleek, silver beast with a body so smooth it barely seems to touch the ground. This wasn't just any car. This was the Mercedes-Benz W196 Streamliner, a machine so fast, so revolutionary, that it didn't just change racing, it terrified it. It cut through the air like a fighter jet, left competitors in the dust, and made every other car on the track look outdated. But there was one problem. It was too fast for its time. And instead of becoming the future of racing, it was banned and buried. Why? What made this car so dangerous? And what if it had never been stopped? Let's rewind and uncover the story of the car that was too fast for the world to handle. To understand why the Mercedes-Benz W196 Streamliner was so ahead of its time, we need to go back to 1954. Formula One was still in its early days. Most race cars had exposed wheels, simple designs, and speeds that were thrilling but manageable. Then Mercedes decided to change everything. They didn't just build a fast car, they built a technological masterpiece. Inspired by fighter planes, the W196 wasn't like anything the racing world had seen before. It had a fully enclosed body, making it the first ever aerodynamic race car in Formula One history. While other cars fought against air resistance, this one slid through the wind like a bullet. Under the hood, a revolutionary straight-8 fuel-injected engine, technology borrowed from World War II fighter planes. While other cars struggled to hit top speeds, the W196 effortlessly roared past them, reaching speeds nobody had ever seen on a racetrack. Mercedes wasn't just building a race car, they were creating the future. But little did they know, their creation would soon become too much for the world to handle. As soon as the Mercedes-Benz W196 Streamliner hit the racetrack, it was clear. This was no ordinary machine. It crushed the competition. With legendary driver Juan Manuel Fangio behind the wheel, the W196 was nearly unstoppable. Race after race, it left its rivals in the dust, setting records and proving that Mercedes had built something years ahead of its time. But here's the problem. It wasn't just fast, it was dangerously fast. The sleek, enclosed body made it incredibly aerodynamic, but it also had a flaw. Drivers couldn't see their wheels. In an era where precise wheel placement was everything, this made handling unpredictable. The car's sheer power meant that one wrong move could send it flying off the track. It was like giving a fighter jet to someone trained to drive a bicycle. And then, in 1955, disaster struck. The Le Mans tragedy, racing's darkest day. The 1955 24 Hours of Le Mans was supposed to be another victory lap for Mercedes, but instead it became one of the deadliest crashes in motorsport history. A high-speed collision involving the W196's sister car, the Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR, caused a horrific accident. The car launched into the air, shattered into pieces, and exploded into the crowd. Over 80 people died instantly. It was a nightmare, one that changed racing forever. Even though the W196 Streamliner wasn't directly involved, it became a symbol of just how dangerous high-speed racing had become. The public, once in awe of its power, began to fear it. Questions arose. Had Mercedes pushed the limits too far? Banned and erased. The end of the W196. After the Le Mans tragedy, the world of motorsports was shaken. The idea that racing could be thrilling yet deadly wasn't new, but this was something different. Over 80 lives lost in a single moment. The public was horrified. Governments demanded change. Sponsors reconsidered their involvement. And the sports governing bodies? They had no choice but to take drastic action. Suddenly, speed wasn't just an advantage, it was a threat. New regulations were introduced, focusing on driver safety, track barriers, and car design limitations. And that meant cars like the W196 Streamliner were a problem. Its sleek, enclosed body had been designed purely for aerodynamic performance. But now safety experts saw it differently. Drivers couldn't see their wheels, which made handling unpredictable. Its power made it nearly uncontrollable in the wrong hands. And after the events of Le Mans, officials didn't want to take any more chances. By 1956, Mercedes-Benz made a shocking decision. They withdrew from motorsports entirely. The dominant W196 was retired, and the Streamliner, with its futuristic, rule-breaking design, was essentially banned. Formula One would continue evolving, but without the most advanced car of the 1950s. The Streamliner didn't just disappear from racing, it vanished from history. Over time, other cars borrowed from its design. Aerodynamics became a critical factor in racing. Fuel injection, once a game-changing innovation in the W196, became standard. But by the time the world caught up, the car that started it all was already erased. Today, the Mercedes-Benz W196 Streamliner exists only in the shadows of history. It was a machine too advanced for its time, too dangerous for its era, and too fast for the world to handle. Its DNA lives on in modern Formula One cars, in hypercars that push the limits of speed, and in racing technology that once seemed impossible. But very few people even know it exists. And that leaves one big question. What if it hadn't been banned? Would Formula One have evolved faster? Would racing technology have advanced decades earlier? Would we be driving ultra-aerodynamic, hyper-fast road cars today if Mercedes had been allowed to push the boundaries further? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you drive a car that was banned for being too fast? And if you love this hidden story from automotive history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories of forgotten legends.